What up, perps? Kid Copious back in effect. Purple State Party, you know what we're doing here. We're up in America, the center, and common sense. You know, we need more common sense in this world and less BS. We're going to talk about that. This one goes out to anybody who's struggling. I'm going to talk about a little bit of that today. So here we go. Let's get it poppin'. Can't even see the fatty. Well, there wasn't very much confetti in that one. You know, earlier in the week, I went to 21 Pilots at the new Intuit Dome out there in Inglewood, California. Inglewood up to no good. Great building. A bit expensive for the parking. It was like $70. But, you know, we're on the floor. People mingling about. We were repping the Banditos, which means we're wearing yellow. You know, Banditos from 21 Pilots, not the notorious biker gang. But anyhow, you know, this girl came up to us and said, "Oh, you're repping Banditos much like myself. Here's some friendship bracelets." You know, and it was that sense of community in that moment that America needs to get back to. You know, we need to get back to that. We need to stop with this bullshit that we should be, you know, we should be ashamed to be white. We should be ashamed to be American. You know, America is supposed to be about people getting ahead and working to get ahead. You know, and that's why capitalism's a beautiful thing. Capitalism doesn't discriminate. They may tell you that capitalism discriminates, but it doesn't. But what is really holding people back now are a lot of these progressive liberal policies that require a shit ton of money. And that money has to come from somewhere. You know, I work with a lot of guys and a girl, and I hear their stories, what they're going through. And some of it's just heartbreaking. It really is. I mean, one of the girls, she's raised 2 successful boys, you know, but she's struggling to find a place to live right now because here in California, everything's so expensive and anything that's so affordable is sucked up by Section 8 and these illegal migrants and homeless, homeless shelters or whatever they're turning them into. You know, one of the guys I know, he lives right next to an apartment that's almost entirely Section 8. And it's not pretty. But the landlords don't mind because they're getting their fucking money, you know? I know another guy who's, you know, his family's going to be forced to sell one of their homes because they have to pay for medical care for their grandfather. And meanwhile, California wants to give out home loans to illegal immigrants. You know, people that situation, that money that California is proposing is going to get so exploited. You know, that's what's going to happen. You're going to have different nationalities having people here simply applying for those loans, maybe through fictitious documentation, abusing the system, making what they can off of rent to other illegals and drug enterprises and grow houses and things like that. And they're going to take the money and run. And the people I work with are still going to be working their 9 to 5, just trying to, you know, survive. You know, California, the Democrats, the liberals, the progressives, you know, what they're doing is they're taking away rungs of the ladder. You know, illegal immigrants are line hoppers. They're people who are jumping up the ladder further than you are. And they're breaking off the rungs below them. Because there's no money. There's no money to assist these people. You make $1 over the limit and you're fucked. And that's no way to run a country or a state or a city. But that's what they're running with. And a lot of people want to make you believe that there's nothing you can do. Well, there is something we can do. We just vote out every shithead that comes our way. You make a false promise, you don't live up to what you say you're going to do, you're out. Recall your ass. It is possible to get people in positions of power who are going to operate with common sense and who are going to try to help, you know, American citizens before they start helping the rest of the fucking world, because that's not really our concern. California is our concern. Oklahoma, Florida, Kansas. Not fucking Argentina, not China. Come on. And in this upcoming presidential election, we have the same choice again. Are we going to focus on Americans, or are we going to focus on a bunch of bullshit and the rest of the world? You know, one thing I always think of is that, sure, when you talk about the upper crust of the Republicans, they think they're better than us because they have all the money. Not all of them. I'm just saying as a general, looking at the political parties. But what's more frustrating to me is that the Democrats seem to think that because they went to the right college, they're smarter than us. And therefore, they could tell us what to do. I understand that in a lot of states, Republicans have said you can't have an abortion. I get that. I understand that. That kind of sucks. I totally disagree with it. But look at everything that the Democrats, the liberals, the progressives, the leftists, look at what they want to order us to do. Electric vehicles is a great example here in California. They're going to force that down our throat. That's not what I vote for. I don't vote for kings. I vote for presidents and governors, people who are going to be beholden to the voters, not the special interest groups with all the money. Because where's the special interest group for the people who work their fucking asses off and are just trying to climb the ladder? Where's that special interest? Well, we don't have money. We can't buy off politicians. So that's the problem. We're going to see a little bit of this, but let's get into the image side of this. Kamala Harris, when she ran in 2020, she didn't even make it into the primaries, for God's sakes. But she supported a lot of those things up there. No fracking, open borders, defund police, no private health insurance, tax tip workers, Medicaid for illegals. Now, she's flip-flopped. Now, normally I would congratulate her and say, oh, well, look, you got some common sense in your fucking pea-shaped brain. But that's not the case. Everything that Kamala Harris and the progressives are saying right now is just to get elected. For God's sakes, they opposed Trump's wall. Then when Trump left office, they basically defunded it and let all the materials go to waste, and then sold off whatever was left on pennies from the dollar. But now they realize that immigration is an issue. So they're going to start claiming they want to build a wall. I mean, that's the problem. They are just lying about what they want. They lie about this one. Kamala Harris's plan to hike corporate income taxes would fall on all Americans. There's no such thing as a corporate tax, folks. The corporation is going to pass that cost on to the consumer. It's a tax on consumers. And can you really blame the corporations? Look, I don't want to sit here and defend companies, okay? But I feel like the truth never gets out. The truth of the matter is, if you own a business, you pass on your costs to the consumer. That's just the way it is. When your wages go up 25%, you're going to raise your prices 25%. That's how you stay in business. Trump props up Trapper Keeper around campaign plan to prevent Kamala from copying. Because they know right now, okay, Donald Trump is not a liked man. I get that, okay? Kamala Harris is not a liked person. All right, so you have these two unlikable people running. But Kamala's team has realized that Trump's message resonates with the average American. And the average American is the biggest group of Americans. That's just what it is. That's why it's the average. They know that Trump is speaking what people want to hear. So they're just going to flat out steal it, but they're not going to deliver on that promise. Trump may or may not deliver on that promise, but the Democrats certainly will not. Kamala's policy page now just redirects to Trump's website. Oh, Babylon Bee. You know, Babylon Bee is a great example of getting sort of that second opinion about things. You know, and that's what I urge people to do. You know, don't just take Fox News or CNN or NBC or the LA Times. Don't take what they say at face value. There are a lot of lies and manipulations behind the headlines nowadays. And Babylon Bee is a great place to sort of find your center, you know? I disagree with a lot of their viewpoints. I really do. But sometimes they point out something that really needs to be pointed out. Kamala Harris is just stealing Trump's ideas and will not deliver on them because they just want to get elected. And we have to demand more out of our politicians than simply getting elected. That does me no good. I don't know if you watch game shows, but you're watching Wheel of Fortune and somebody wins $35,000 in a trip to Hawaii, right? Do you get that? No. You don't get that. You're just watching the show for entertainment. Well, the government is not entertainment. And when they win, we still don't win. It's kind of stupid. But that's what's going on. So they're going to have the debates between Harris and Trump. Holy shit, that's going to be exciting. Harris' team asked if her mic can be muted for the whole debate. Yeah, because that bitch she opens her mouth and she sinks her own ship. Why? Because she's undeserving. She has no passion. She has no belief in anything other than her gaining power. I don't think you'd say that about Trump. And that's why we can't have people voting for Harris. Harris Waltz. Come on. Is that really how little they think of their voters? Even the New York Times is kind of turning on her. It's interesting how they did it. We'll get into that right now. The New York Times turns on Kamala Harris and slams her as phony. Well, they didn't really. So basically what they did was, they brought in this conservative commentator, Rich Lowry, who published a guest essay titled Trump Can Win on Character. Pulling no punches, Lowry wrote that Harris is weak and phony and doesn't truly care about the country or the middle class. I don't see where she does. I don't see one shred of fucking evidence that she cares about any of us. Okay? Maybe Trump doesn't either. I don't know. But at least I've seen something out of him. At least I've seen him putting a voice to some of the issues that we have in the country right now. Some of the things that are going wrong. Lowry went on to attack the vice president, namely in her failures to secure the border or address inflation. She doesn't care if her tax policies will destroy jobs. She has been a part of an administration that has seen real wages stagnate while minimizing the problem because the party line matters to her more than the economic reality for working Americans. That's the truth. That's what we've seen in the last 4 years. We haven't seen anything done. One of the best things that the Biden administration could have done was high-speed internet in rural areas. And what happened with that? Their own DEI policies stood in the way of any real progress. Here in California, we have a $1 billion boondoggle called the high-speed rail. One of the things standing in its way, California regulations. California wants a train, but California wants to block the train. This is just politics to these people. This is just fake job creation. It's not long-term growth, and it isn't helping the people that I know. Wall Street Journal and the left-leaning The Hill also added to it. Are you willing to pay $5 trillion for Kamala vibes? Asked senior commentator James Freeman in the Wall Street Journal. He argued that Harris has damaged the economy during her time as VP, not at least by supporting Biden's multi-billion-dollar hikes in government spending during the COVID crisis. They pumped out all this money. Some of that money is still sitting in bank accounts because it was so much money, the schools and the entities didn't even know what to do with it all. But that's money that our kids are going to have to pay back. The Hill right here, after Harris's Thursday speech, they gave space to a conservative writer. See, they use a conservative writer as a hitman. Derek Hunter wrote, She's an empty pantsuit basking in the glow of positive media coverage and unburdened by accountability. Hunter pointed out that Harris has been elected to her new role by precisely no one. She is the first nominee of either party who did not have to secure a single delegate or a single vote in the primaries. She is historic, in that it is highly unlikely that she could have secured that nomination had there been any sort of competition for the job. Because they only care about winning. See, that's it. They only care about winning. That's why the Democrats seemingly have these policies that only affect minority groups. And I don't just mean skin tone. I mean all minority groups. Because they're only concerned in getting reelected. They're not concerned with the rest of the country. Look, they're doing fine. They take their salary, they invest it in the stock market, they manipulate it, they get insider information, they get fucking rich and famous, and now they're above all the problems. You don't give a fuck if there's an ant infestation if you're flying in the clouds, because they ain't getting up to you. Even this fuckwad, Jerry I Shit My Pants Nadler, promises higher taxes for rich white men. Ah, there you go. I mean, as a rich white man, I find it kind of ironic that he's going to go after him. But he's a rich white man who says, I'm going to go after the rich white men. Please vote for me. Keep me in office because I'm not qualified to do anything else. Look at fucking Kamala Harris. The fuck's she going to do? Write a book? Oh, God. Going to be a fucking picture book. I'm going to love those chapters with Willie Brown. Oh, man. But yeah. Now they're promised this week that rich men would certainly be hit with higher taxes should Democrats retake Congress. You raise their taxes, they raise their prices, it gets worse for us. Look, here in California, man, you hear a lot of talk about people making $20 an hour, right? Well, what's the point of giving them that $20 an hour if you're then going to hit them with more taxes, more fees, more regulations, everything more expensive? So now they got to work their ass off so they can take a fucking bus to work and never even think about owning a home here because all that assistance goes to losers. It doesn't go to people who work because the Democrats are locking down those votes because they only care about getting reelected. That is what I'm seeing across the board with these people. Okay? Of course, Trump wants to get reelected, but he wants to get reelected at least he says to make America great again. America, that's a pretty big group, isn't it? It's not a group of individuals. It's not a small group. It's the entire country. The other people, what the fuck are they promising? More control? More taxes? Wow. Yeah. They frame it the right way, and the media plays along and helps us understand that we're paying more now, but at least some little spider or some person who snuck into the country or some criminal or some drug addict or some drunk, they're going to get benefits. Oh, seriously. And see, here in this same vein, liberals, progressives, they seem to think that totalitarianism is the only way for it to work. California lawmakers are considering banning retailers from offering plastic bags. Why? Because they banned plastic bags and said they had to be thicker, so now every bag is equal to like 4 bags, and we've actually increased the amount of plastic that we're putting into the environment. Is it the plastic's fault? No. It's people littering. That's what it is. It's people. Meanwhile, California let me put it to you this way. I'll do it game show style. Would you rather California spend money on A, people handing out free syringes and pipes and tents and cell phones to drug addicts and drunks, or B, spend some of that money making sure that our waterways that lead to the ocean are clean? I don't know. No, let's just ban plastic bags. Yeah. Advocates say that while well-intentioned, the law led to retailers to ditch the thin bags for thicker bags marketed as reusable and recyclable. Okay, well, they are. I mean, I use all of my bags at least twice. That's just, I use them as liners. I use them to clean up dog poo. You know, I use them. I put them in the trash to go to a fucking landfill. Okay? Now what? Now I'm going to have to buy my own liners? Now I'm going to have to buy my own doggy poo bags? See? Just passing the cost on to the people. And do you think the people who make these policies care about having to spend $5 on a roll of doggy doo-doo bags? No, they don't care. $5. Fuck. They'll light that on fire just to light up their J. Us, we got to keep it, right? They failed. It made it worse. They looked bad, so they said, fuck it, we're going to burn it down. It was never well-intentioned, all right? Plastic bags were introduced to stop using paper bags. So now what are we back to? Paper bags? Or canvas bags, which hold on to bacteria and crap like that. This is a safety issue. All right? If you want less plastic heading into the ocean and heading into the waterways, then fucking clean up the bags. Spend some of all of that damn tax money that you have cleaning shit up. Stop putting it on us. First-time homebuyers in Oregon get $30,000 grant, but American citizens aren't eligible. This is from the Latino-led housing support group, Hacienda Community Development Corporation in Portland. Their Camino a Casa program stipulates it's only for people who are not American citizens. There's their fucking ad right there. Only for people who are not American citizens. For example, ITIN holders, DACA, refugees, asylees, green card holders, amongst others. Isn't that great? You've got a Latino-led organization that will not lend to Latinos if they were born here. Yeah. Much like my girl at work. Mexican, born in America, not qualified for this program. It's that kind of thinking that has got to be voted out of office. This is fucking stupid. The city of Portland gave them $692,000, which they are now, through their tax-funded economic equity investment program, a program that aims to build economic equity for disadvantaged people who aren't citizens. So every year, NOAA, the National Oceanic, maybe I'll just put it down here because I can't remember it now. They provide a report that tallies up climate disasters that cost $1 billion or more. Okay? And this report is used to shape politicians' views and the pathways to the programs that they want to do, you know. It provides the guidance, whatever. Okay? NOAA agrees to restore scientific integrity in its influential $1 billion climate disaster tally. And this came out because a professor of environmental studies at the University of Colorado put out a report showing that the tally lacks scientific integrity. And, his paper has been peer-reviewed and published now. His research normalizes the disaster cost. And why this is important, if a Category 3 hurricane hit Miami Beach in 1926, it would impact far less development than a storm of equal intensity hitting today. Without controlling for these differences, he writes, it's impossible to reliably determine trends in damage. So they're saying, oh my God, the last time a hurricane hit in 1926, it only did this amount of damage. Look how much it did today. Oh my God, we need to ban everything. But it's not true. The report lacks transparency that allows the sources of the data to be verified. It doesn't even follow the agency's own guidelines for scientific integrity. The cost figures aren't normalized, which produces those misleading results. The agency is also, according to the study, incorrectly attributing the changes to climate over time. They're They're not providing any sort of evidence that that climate change is causing these rises. They're simply tracking them. He also noted in his report that, maybe setting the threshold at $1 billion, maybe that's not the best way to go about it. Maybe you need to include some of the lower ones, lower numbers. But that's what's going on in Washington, D.C. People are using flawed, purposely deceptive numbers and intelligence reports to fund public policy. When they form public policy around lies or mistruths or whatever you want to label them, how can you expect the results to work? 2 years and $300 billion into Biden's climate plan, emissions are higher than ever. Yeah. August 16th marked the 2-year anniversary of the Inflation Reduction Act. Never reduced inflation. Didn't. Funneled hundreds of billions of dollars into green energy and electric vehicles. Right? While the act made unprecedented investments in renewable energy, it also faced criticism for being too little, too late, and for compromising on fossil fuel extraction. And the author here points out, what if it's too late? What if the toolbox doesn't have the right tools? And what's even worse is that social movements around the world, such as here, have been predicting this outcome for years or even decades, but they've been shut out of the mainstream conversation. In fact, nobody with any sizable platform is pointing out that the emperor has no clothes, that the entire international framework around climate change is designed to fail. And while all this is going on, we probably have already passed our so-called carbon saturation, domino effects, all these little buzzwords they have out there. It's probably too late for us to do anything about it, if we can do anything about it in the first place. We don't know. We don't know. This is a fun subject, right? But one of the reasons that this whole movement pisses me off is summed up here. In fact, it was supposed to be a banner year for green energy. I actually saw a slight decrease in electrical generation from renewable sources in the United States, a failure that belies the supposed magic wand of government information or intervention. Oh, man. See, the government is one of the worst doers out there. You look at that high-speed internet that we always talk about. The DEI requirements get in the way. Shit like that. But the worst part about this is that the 3% reduction in our carbon emissions is attributed to carbon accounting. In other words, just because you invest in solar does not mean that the carbon that you have produced dissipates or disappears. It's accounting. Look how good we're doing on paper. Doing good on paper? I mean, think about this. Every sports team out there has a blueprint for a game. All right? And on paper, they're going to win it. And in reality, they lose 4-0. Why? Because paper don't mean shit. And that's what we have, especially with this current administration. All of this shit that looks good on paper, but in practice doesn't fucking work. And instead of changing course and trying to fix what's broken, they just contextualize it and continue on with the same fucking madness. Bronco here, democracy dies in dark. I would say that I get that that's the liberal media that he's skewing, but all media is guilty of this. The media is supposed to be our watchdogs. Now, I understand they got to make money. They got to do the clickbaity shit. But when you are covering up impending disasters, when you are covering up mass shootings or whatever it is, you should be charged. And I think it's high time that we start charging some of these entities Facebook was pressured into censoring things. MSNBC, ABC, CNN, CBS, NPR, the WAPO, the New York Times. They tried to cover up the policies or the politicians who led to the failures that they're reporting on. There are often two sides to a story. If you read something on MSNBC or you read it on Fox News, look at the comment sections. See if people are making intelligent rebuttals. Look into those rebuttals. Scratch the surface of stories. Because I can hardly blame the voters who are going to support Kamala Harris if they have been living in an echo chamber. It is their responsibility to get out of that echo chamber. But I understand why you've bought the lies about Trump, why you've bought the cover-ups of the Bidens, the cover-ups of Kamala Harris. I mean, holy shit. Every media organization should be screaming from the rooftops that Kamala Harris is not qualified. No one voted for her. She is simply a feel-good, or in her words, a joy vote. Oh, wow, I voted for a black woman. I guess that means I'm not a racist anymore. But everybody needs to get to this page where we're voting for common sense, where there's a real sense of passion, a real sense of community. Because this is America, all right? We may be made up of a bunch of little fucking groups, but we were and should remain a melting pot. If you don't want to melt in the pot, get the fuck out. That's about as simple as I could put it. We got to do something, folks. The time is now. You know, if we don't do something now, I think the next 4 years could really, really be a bad place. I'm running out of energy. I'm Kid Copious. I'm Purple State Party, and so are you. Love one another. Be kind. Vote with your head, not your heart. And you know, when the confetti comes down, dance it out.